Today, oops, here, hold on. Today we're going to talk about death. We're going to talk about death. Death isn't everyone's favorite topic, or is it? I read tarot cards professionally for clients not familiar with receiving a reading. Asking about death seems to be a favorite question. Comes up a lot with people who aren't particularly even interested or very vague about why they're sitting in front of you. So, why do people even go to a tarot reader? By the way, I made this picture with ChatGTP. That's me.
Wow.
In my salad days, reading for a client, I'm using way too many cards. So I don't do that. Getting a tarot reading does not even occur to most people. Interest in a reading typically comes from a more introspective person interested in assistance with a particular stress point in their lives, interested in a path of enlightenment and self discovery, or they may just be curious. Why would people ask about death? You already know the answer, or rather, reasons. First reason, people wonder about death because they're afraid of ceasing to exist. Ooh, yeah, that's got to be terrible. In a secular society where religion is at best an afterthought, this is a real concern. The word secular is defined in Oxford Languages, which is a group of encyclopedias, is defined as denoting attitudes, activities, or other things that have no religious or spiritual basis. Without a spiritual belief and acknowledgement of our connection with an eternal consciousness, death is the end. Everything you are simply ceases. To most people, that's depressing and scary. Even the most diehard humanist or atheist probably wonders or hopes that there is something beyond death. That's the death card in the Waite-Smith deck. Comes for everybody. Why do people ask about death? Second reason, our media. Read almost any newspaper on any day, and you'll notice that there is an overwhelming emphasis on that which is titillating and awful. The worse, the better. Sadly, this is what generates the most interest in ratings. Scroll through Netflix, Amazon Prime, and most other popular movie and television sites, and you'll see that most offerings feature conflict, death, revenge, war, divorce, infidelity, and so on. Because of the portrayal of psychics and tarot readers in visual media, people think that all fortune tellers give people unwelcome news about things that are foreordained and unalterable. I pay close attention to how psychics and tarot readers are portrayed in movies and TV, as I am one. I can think of only one sensitive, accurate portrayal in decades of observations. Here's a picture of Danny Reagan, whose real name is Danny Wahlberg. Yes, that's Mark Wahlberg's brother, one of them. Anyway, he plays. He's one of the sons of Police Commissioner Frank Reagan, who is Tom Selleck. He's approached by Maggie Gibson, who's Callie Thorne, a psychic who has insight into some crimes that he is investigating. She helps, leading him to trust her and eventually form a relationship with her. She's appeared in several episodes. Unfortunately, Blue Bloods is finally ending, one of our favorite shows. Anyway, one of the few accurate encounters between on television anyway with a psychic and a main character. Well, Brian, what about tarot readers in the movies? It's even worse. Most tarot readers and psychics in visual media, meaning the movies and television, fit the narrow caricature of a person predisposed to evil or fraud. They are more than willing to deliver devastating news, which the client has no agency to change for money. So when I hear a client ask, so are you supposed to tell me when I'm going to die? It's sad, but I get it. I understand. These are scenes from two fairly recent movies, by the way, that have tarot as the main subject. Look at those hands. She needs some Nivea bad. Hold on. Okay. I feature that on my website here. Frequently asked questions on my Inspired Answers website, which is inspiredanswers.net. I include the following statement. Will you read for any questions? And my reply is I do not answer questions concerning gambling. I will not read for pregnant women regarding the health of their baby. And I do not typically answer questions concerning death. And I mention these limitations on my site to pre-qualify clients. I also describe how to ask questions in a manner that allows the client to maintain their ability to influence their future. Right? Reverend, change your thinking, change your life. Do you ever read about death? I have seen messages about death in my readings for clients. Usually a spread will address a question that is asked concerning death. So if you ask a question and I do a spread, it will probably be answered. But I may not tell you about it. I will convey what I see if it is appropriate. I first consider some things that I mentioned in the prayer group that I do each week. Oh, we're doing it, and you'll hear it later. Will my response be true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind? If it is possible, I will convey the message in a way that incorporates these things. If my reply cannot incorporate these things, I will not answer the question. By the way, Spirit may have something to say to me that should not be voiced to the client. I may receive it, but the request or command would be, you're not to tell this to the person that's sitting with you. This happens more often than you might think. Death on earth is part of life. You can't have one without the other. However, what is eternal cannot die. One time, a couple of examples of readings I've had about death that I did mention things adjacent to what was asked. One time I had a client ask me if members of her family would ever be content and happy with each other again. They were very much at odds. The spread included the Six of Cups. By the way, can you see this card? There it is. That's the Six of Cups, a young person and an old person. The older person or young man or older child is handing some flowers to the younger person. The spread included the Six of Cups. And I instantly got a hit that, and I knew that her mother was going to be dying quite soon. And her mother was telling me that her death would give the family the opportunity to draw together. I told the client that there would be an opportunity for reconciliation soon. I did not mention her mother's imminent death. I had another client, last one here, example, whose brother had very recently committed suicide. And she wanted to know how he was doing. She was not doing well. The spread included the Five of Pentacles, which is this card. So you've got two homeless individuals, and there's a church window behind them, a lovely scene, and the window not so lovely on the street. Her brother came through to me after it included that card I just showed you. Her brother came through to me as radiant and complete. He was now perfect and not suffering. The people who were suffering were his family who missed him. I told my client that it was good news for him as he was now radiant and perfect. The people who were suffering were those still here. So I don't typically answer questions concerning death in my readings, at least not like the tarot readers do in the movies, thank God. I want clients to receive inspired answers to their questions, but only if an answer is true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind.